There are multiple blockchains with different underlying technologies. They all use different consensus mechanisms, such as, for instance, Bitcoin, Dogecoin, and Litecoin. They all use proof of work, while Ethereum is still using proof of work but is about to switch to proof of stake, with Cardano Avalanche also using proof of stake. And proof of work is more energy consuming because it requires computational power to solve difficult mathematical equations to be able to add another block to the blockchain and get rewarded with the token, and this process is also known as mining. Speaking of speed, multiple blockchains also differ in terms of transaction processing times. While Bitcoin can only process 7 transactions per second, Ethereum can process 15 transactions per second. It's going to double approximately once they switch to proof of stake, so it's going to be about 30 transactions per second. And the fastest blockchain right now, which is Solana, can process up to 65,000 transactions per second, claiming that potentially they can also do 700,000 transactions per second. They also differ in the cost of performing transaction on the blockchain known as gas fee, and Ethereum is one of the most costly blockchains right now, and at the peak it was reaching about $70 per transaction, and it depends on how congested the network is. But some of the networks such as Solana or Binance, they are all able to process transactions that cost only a fraction of a cent. Different blockchains also offer different use cases. Like for instance, Bitcoin, it offers nothing but a store of value, while Ethereum is known for smart contracts, which is another way to execute a transaction without a central body, and that gets executed when a certain condition is met. And there are also multiple protocols on the Ethereum network, such as Compound, for instance, that let you do lending and borrowing, or you can do staking with Lido staking. And there are multiple other protocol and DEXs that let you do different type of transactions. There's also a Filecoin Network, which is another blockchain network that aims at replacing the traditional ways of having our storage. Like for instance, instead of using Google Cloud or Microsoft Cloud, we're going to be using decentralized storage, and that tries to solve it by reducing the cost of this service. So all in all, there are multiple use cases for different blockchains, and I do believe that the fact that it's being so secure and decentralized, one day we're probably going to have all of our medical records, all of our driver licenses, all of our ownership certificates, and all other legal documents be stored on the blockchain because it's so secure. So what is Quant then? Is it just another blockchain, or what is it? Well, not exactly. Imagine that in the future, most of the financial institutions, banks, investment firms are going to start adopting blockchain technology, but there's so many of them. As I've already mentioned, there are multiple blockchains that differ in technology, speed, transaction cost, and so on. So what if you don't want to use just one, or what if you want to use multiple at the same time? From a company's perspective, it would be really costly for them to hire a whole new team that only specializes in blockchain. So they would have to hire blockchain specialists for each blockchain. They would have to train them. They would have to adapt to the company's existing practices, and that would take a lot of time. And what Quant is offering instead is Overledger OS. Overledger OS kind of sits on top of all the blockchains. And what it basically does is it provides the Overledger APIs. For instance, any company that develops any type of web app, like for instance YouTube that you're watching right now, they can have the same people build something else, and it's going to use RESTful APIs to connect to Overledger, which in turn can connect to multiple blockchains at the same time. The Overledger OS will be able to transfer data between multiple blockchains, make it communicate with each other, meaning that each company is going to be able to utilize every single blockchain at the same time. Let's say if they want to use storage, they can use Filecoin Network. If they want to use smart contracts, they can use Ethereum Network, and so on. If they want a cheaper transaction, then they can use Solana or maybe Binance. So basically, they're providing a solution that lets any company get access to distributed ledger technology without extra costs associated to it. So they're going to be able to use current developers that they have on the team to build something to communicate through the API, and they're going to utilize the existing APIs to talk to any of the distributed ledger technologies. And that way it's going to be really cheap for them, for instance, to test out which technology they prefer. So they can build something and let's say use it on Solana or use it on Ethereum, and they're going to decide, okay, which technology fits us better and satisfies our needs. And I think that's going to be a breakthrough, and it's going to be cheap way for the companies to actually finally adopting the blockchain technology. Well, then you might be thinking, well, who can actually make use of this? And as Quant states themselves, that anybody in the financial sector basically can make use of it. Any banks, any payment processors, and even central banks, when they start coming up with their central bank digital currencies, can also utilize the Quant technology known as Overledger OS. And just to prove this point, Quant is only one of the few crypto coins that are actually ISO 222 compliant. ISO 222 is a new messaging protocol that's going to be adopted by all the banks that use SWIFT, which is the way for the banks to message each other when they perform different type of interbanking transactions that are also cross-border transactions. And that's kind of a big deal, because what that means is that Quant's Overledger OS is now compliant with the banking messaging protocol, which means that any bank that wants to utilize the blockchain technology can now use Overledger OS to utilize multiple blockchains at the same time, and that is going to change the world, in my opinion. Another thing that makes Quant stand out for me is the partnerships that they're forming. On March 19, 2019, Quant actually announced partnership with AWS, and AWS, or Amazon Web Services, is the largest cloud service provider in the world, and over 1 million companies ranging from big to small, such as Facebook and LinkedIn, to small businesses, they use their cloud services. And that means that now Quant has access to all of these companies, and if they ever decide to use the blockchain technology, it's going to be way easier for them to integrate and utilize that blockchain technology with Quant. On June 5, 2019, they formed partnership with SIA, and SIA is one of the largest payment providers in Europe, which is basically a backbone of the European payment system. They've already integrated the Overledger OS with SIA's sidechain, and they've already tested it out for interoperability, and they were able to use multiple DLTs. On February 1st, 2021, they announced partnership with LACChain, and LACChain is the alliance of Latin American actors that run permission DLT. And this is big for Latin America because LACChain is trying to solve the problem of scalability due to the fact that there are multiple DLTs in Latin America. And with the help of Overledger OS, they're trying to make cross-border payments even more effective, secure, and more affordable. Now you might say that all of these partnerships are good, but how does Quant actually make revenue? And that's a very good question, because this is one of the most important aspects to look at when you research a crypto token or a crypto coin. So there are actually multiple streams of revenue for Quant, and some of them don't even involve cryptocurrency. Like for instance, if you want to use an Overledger OS, you would have to purchase a 12-month license that you can purchase with fiat currency that later on Quant is going to use to exchange for Quant, and that Quant is going to be locked up in the period of 12 months. It means that it's going to reduce the circulating supply, and it's going to drive the price up. And if you want to use it again, you're going to have to extend the license and purchase it again, which means that it's going to always drive the demand for the Quant token higher and higher. Or if you're a developer and you want to use Overledger OS to build multi-chain decentralized apps on Overledger OS, then you're going to have to purchase Quant as well, and you're going to have to lock it up as well, and that's going to be your license. Another stream of revenue is from the gateway network operators, meaning that if I am an enterprise and I purchase a license, and later on I want to let somebody else access some of the D apps that I've built or the data that I have, then you're going to have to pay me a fee, and that fee is also going to be paid to Overledger OS in Quant. So there are multiple ways that Quant is actually gonna produce revenue streams. So all in all, Quant looks like a promising project that's gonna affect the broad market, and broad market means that a lot of funds are gonna come into it, meaning that eventually the price should go higher and higher. And right now we're sitting at about $100 per token, but if the idea actually comes to fruition, I believe that the price can go up to 4 figures or 5 figures, even reaching the price of Bitcoin. And with the utility that they provide, I do believe that it might actually happen. I'm not saying that you should go all in, because remember, diversification is one of the best bets that you can do with your money. And of course, do your own research. And that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up to help YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoy seeing stuff like this, and hit the notification bell to get notified next time new video comes out, and I'll see you all guys in the next one. Bye.